In the previous session, we had discussed about the types of equipment, the categories of equipments, and why we use the equipments and the various consideration while purchasing equipments. So all these topics we had covered in previous session. In continuation to the today's session, we are going to discuss about in detail all of the equipments as such: cutlery, flatwares, crockery, glasswares, and hollowares that we are going to cover today. So by the end of this session, you will be able to name the equipment and you will be able to identify each one of the equipment. The various category and various types of equipments are there. So you will be able to identify each one of the equipment. After that, you will be able to know the shape of the equipment. You will be able to identify the shape, size of the equipment, and you will came to know that the capacities of the equipment. After that, the major part, you should know the use of the equipment. By the end of this session, you will also came to know that the various uses of the various equipments. Let us start with today's session with cutlery and flatwares. As we know that each one of the equipments reflect the image of the organization, reflect the image of the restaurant or any outlet. Similarly, while we talking about cutlery and flatware, so all the cutlery item refers to the knife and all the flatware item refers to our fork and spoon. And it is being very frequently used in a restaurant. It is very important equipment. It is available in the market in a various design and various form. These equipments is being used by the guest, and most of the time these are the guest contacted equipments. So these equipment should be of good quality. So if these equipments will have that good quality, so guests will feel that value of money. These cutlery and flatware item is made up of the mixture of two metals. One is chromium, another one is nickel, respectively. And there should be a particular ratio for making this stainless steel item. The ratio is 18/8 and 12/12. So these two ratio is being utilized for making of stainless steel item. Another one, cutlery and flatware, is made up of EPNS item, which is electroplated nickel silver. Whereas we utilize these stainless steel knives and fork spoons, and we do the coating of nickel silver. So that is what is your electroplated nickel silver. If we move forward, in cutlery, first is dinner knife, which is also known as large knife, joint knife. And you must know the sizes as well. The size is 9 to 10 inches. And where we use, it is being utilized to have the main course. Another one is dessert, which is also known as small knife. As name itself shows that we utilize these kind of knives for having desserts, and this is going to be used for multi-purpose. We utilize for a snack service also. Sometimes it is being utilized for egg service also, and the size for this is 8 to 8.5 inches. Next is fish knife. Fish knife is used for the service of fish. Well, while the guest is going to have the fish, they are going to utilize fish knife. The size for fish knife is 8 to 9 inches. Next is the side knife. Side knife is being placed on the side plate, which is also called as a quarter plate. And this knife will be utilized to place the butter on the breads. That's why we called it, sometimes we called it butter knife also, as we place it on a side plate. So that's why it's also called it side knife. So the size for this side knife is 5 to 6 inches. Next is cheese knife. Cheese knife, name itself shows that it is being utilized for service of cheese. While guest wants to eat cheese, so then cheese knife will be served. Or sometimes we use it for a service of cheese. We need to cut the cheese. So at that time, it is being utilized for cutting the cheese. Next is, and the size for cheese knife is 9 to 10 inches. Next is the butter knife. Butter knife, most of the time it is being served along with the butter dish. It is being placed in the breakfast service. There's a different types of breakfast, and while we are serving breakfast or while we are serving butter, so there must be a butter dish as well. So along with the butter dish, we used to provide a butter knife. It is being utilized for spreading the butter, to spread the butter on the breads. The size for butter knife is 6 inches. Next is the steak knife. Steak knife is being utilized for service of steak, and the size for steak knife is 9 to 10 inches. Next is flatware. Flatware refers to fork and spoons. If we talk about the various types of spoon used in industry or used in restaurants, so we'll start with the first is the dinner spoon. Dinner spoon is also known as a large spoon, joint spoon. You must know the size as well. The size is 8 to 9 inches, and these spoon will be used for having a main course. Second is the serving spoon or service spoon. The size of the service spoon is 10 inches, and it is being utilized for service of food to the guest. In silver service, we utilize these equipment to serve the food to the guest through service spoon. Third is the soup spoon. Soup spoon, the size of the soup spoon is 7 inches, and we use that spoon to have our soup. Next is teaspoon. The size of teaspoon is 5 inches, and we utilize this teaspoon to stir the tea, to mix the sugar in the tea, and for that purpose we use teaspoon. Next is the coffee spoon. The size for the coffee spoon is 4.5 inches, and we utilize again to stir the coffee or just to mix the sugar in the coffee. We utilize this coffee spoon. Next is the espresso spoon. Espresso is the name of the coffee, which is the shortest serving of the coffee, which is the pure extraction of the coffee, and it is being served in small quantity like 30 ml or 60 ml. Because of that, the quantity is less. The cup of that espresso coffee is very small, so we use very smallest spoon. The size for this spoon is 3 inches. Sometime there could be a need to stir that coffee, or sometime many guests prefer the sugar in that espresso as well. So in that case, if you want to stir that coffee, so espresso spoon will be used. Last is the dessert spoon. Dessert spoon, name itself shows that it is being used for having a dessert. Size for the dessert spoon is 7 inches. If we move forward, another flatware in the spoon category, so we have that ice cream spoon. Name itself shows that to have our ice creams, we utilize this spoon, and the size for this spoon is 5.5 inches. Next is Sunday spoon. Sunday spoon is for Sunday ice cream. Because of that, it is being placed in a Sunday bowl, and that require a little larger spoon. So that's why we use these kind of spoon, Sunday spoon, for having our Sunday ice cream, etc. So the size for this Sunday spoon is 10 inches. Next is mustard spoon. Mustard spoon is a very small spoon as like espresso spoon, but it's little different from that. The size for that spoon is 3 inches, and mustard spoon is for mustard sauce we provide along with the food item. It is as an accompaniment. So at that time we provide that mustard spoon to serve that mustard sauce. Next is the bar spoon. Bar spoon is being utilized in a bar just to stir the cocktail, just to prepare the drinks. So bar spoon is also a little larger. The size for the bar spoon is 12 inches. The next spoon is the salad spoon. Salad spoon for the serving of salad. In the next category of flatware, that we start with the forks. So in fork, there is a first one is the large fork, which is also known as joint fork, dinner fork. The size for large fork, joint fork, and dinner fork is 9 inches, and we use this fork for our main course meal. Next is dessert fork. Dessert fork is being used for serving desserts, to have our dessert, and the size for dessert fork is 8 inches. Next is fish fork. While the guest wants to have the fish item, so then the guest will use fish fork, and the size for fish fork is 8 inches. Next is pastry fork. While the guest wants to have their pastry or cake items, so this fork will be given, and this fork will be used by a guest. Size for pastry fork is 5.5 inches. Next is salad fork. Salad fork will be used for having our salads. The size for salad fork is 9 inches. Next is service fork. Service fork will be used for serving food to the guest, and we use both. Because of that, we have studied a service spoon as well as the service fork. Together we called it a service gear. While we are going to serve food to the guest in a silver service, we are going to utilize both service spoon as well as the service fork, and all the food item to the guest will be served with these two. We are not going to carry a single for serving. For example, we are going to serve a gravy item, so then we'll utilize only a fork. Next is silverware, which is also known as EPNS. EPNS means electroplated nickel silver. In EPNS, what we do, we take that stainless steel item and we do the coating of nickel silver. We use this EPNS item in all the category as such, flatware and cutlery. You can find all the cutlery in a EPNS also, even your teapots, coffee pots, your salvers, your wine chillers, all the equipments can be of EPNS item. Because of that, it's similarly all the equipments which can be used in a stainless steel forms that can be utilized in a EPNS form as well. Next is there's another special purpose tablewares. For example, there's a oysters fork which is being used for serving of oysters or to have the oysters. Next is a snail's fork. Snail's fork is being utilized to have the snails, and the snail's tongue will be utilized to take the snails to the plate, and that is how we are going to use that snail's tongue. Next is snail dish. Snail dish is to serve the snails to the guest, so that is how we are going to utilize these snail dishes. Next is grapefruit spoon. Grapefruit spoon is a very small spoon which gives along with the grapefruit is a type of fruit basically. We used to serve grapefruit to the guests, so we give grapefruit spoon with that fruit just to have that grapefruit. Next is walnut cracker. In our French classical menu, there is a course called dessert in which we serve fruit and nuts. While we are going to serve our nuts to the guest, and it needs to crack. For example, walnut has a hard shell outside, so in that case we need a cracker. So as such, there is a walnut cracker, so for that purpose it can be utilized. Next is lobster pick. Lobster pick, just to pick the lobster and just to keep it in plate, so for that reason lobster pick is being used. There's a asparagus rack. Asparagus is a type of vegetable. While we need to have asparagus, actually asparagus will be served in a wrap, so it can be served to the guest and guest can take it the asparagus from that wrap. Another special purpose tableware includes grape scissors. If you want to take a grapes is very difficult to pick, so that's why we use grape scissors, so you can comfortably take the grape scissors to your plates. Next is fondue fork. Fondue fork is a long stick in which you put the meat item or something and you can dip to the sauce. So it's a large fork, you can say that, and where you utilize these kind of fork to just to dip the meat item or the piece of meat in a sauce, in a hot sauce, and then you can have it. So that is called fondue fork. Next is corn on the cob holder. Corn on the cob holder is basically to hold the corn. So the whole corn with the cob. So just to hold that, so we use that holder. So that is called as a corn on the cob holder. Next is egg holder. Egg holder in which you can serve the boiled egg. So that is known as a egg holder. Next is the bread basket. Basket will be used for serving breads to the guest. It could be the any kind of breads. All the breads will be served in a bread basket. Next is the toast rack. When the guest used to ask the toast of the bread, so that can be served in a toast rack. There's a section placed in a toast rack. You can place the toast in that rack and you can comfortably serve to the guest. Next is the candle stand. Candle stand is very common equipment used in most of the restaurants, as you might have heard about candlelight dinner as well. So for that you need to have a candle stand in a restaurant so that you can place a candles and you can light the candles for a better experience. Next is our crockery. Crockery, which is also known as a Chinaware. In crockery, if we talk about the types of crockery used in a hotel industry or in a restaurant, so we'll start with the first one is the large plate, which is also known as a joint plate, full plate or dinner plate. The size for this plate is 10 inches and this plate will be used for serving of main course. Main course item will be served in this plate, large plate, joint plate, full plate and dinner plate. All of four name is for one plate only. Next is fish plate. Name itself shows that for serving of fish we utilize this plate and the size for this fish plate is 8 inches. Next is soup plate. Soup plate is a plate in which we used to serve the thick soups and size for soup plate is 8 inches. Next is half plate. Half plate will be utilized for multi-purpose. Sometimes starters can be served in this plate. Sometimes we serve eggs also in this plate. Sometimes we serve desserts also in this plate. So according to the use of that plate, the name of the plate will get changed. For example, if we are serving starters, so then we'll call it starters plate or a small plate. If we are serving a dessert, so then definitely we are going to call dessert plate. The size for half plate or dessert plate or small plate is the 8 inches. Next is the quarter plate. The size for the quarter plate is 6 inches. There's another two name for this plate is side plate and B and B plate. Side plate, because of that it is being placed on the side of the cover. While the guest used to dine in a restaurant, so in the front of him there will be a cover. On the side of the cover, this plate will be placed. That's why we called it side plate, and it is also known as B&B plate, bread and butter plate. So because of that, the breads will be served in this plate. That's why we called it bread and butter plate. So there's a three name of this plate: quarter plate, B&B plate, and side plate. And the size for this plate is 6 inches. It is being utilized for serving of breads. Next is soup bowl. Soup bowl will be used for serving a soup, and there's a capacity for soup bowl is 10 ounce. You must know the units of that capacity also. That is 1 ounce is equal to 28.4 ml. What we consider it in our industry 30 ml. So 10 ounce, that means 300 ml approximate will be the maximum capacity of soup bowl. Next is the tea cup. Tea cup will be used for serving a tea, and the capacity for tea cup is 200 ml. So next is coffee cup. Coffee cup will be used for serving coffee, and the capacity of coffee cup is 150 to 180 ml. Next is breakfast cup. Breakfast cup will be used for serving tea and coffee in a breakfast, and the capacity for breakfast cup is 250 to 300 ml. Next is cruet set. Cruet set consists of two things. One is salt, another one is pepper. White pepper, we use it that pair, and you must identify cruet set or the salt and pepper with the holes of that. If less number of holes will be utilized for salt, and the more number of holes in a cruet set will be utilized for pepper. The next is badwas. Badwas is the small flower pot which we used to put it at the center of the table just to make a good eye appeal of the table. In the next category of equipments, we'll start off with glasswares. In glasswares, we have the first one is champagne tulip. The name itself shows that we use this champagne tulip for serving champagne and sparkling wine. As I told you, you must know the capacity also for the glasses. So capacity for champagne tulip is 6 to 8 ounces. Next is the white wine glass. White wine glass will be utilized for serving a white wine, and the capacity for white wine glass is to 6 to 8 ounces. And another one is red wine glass. Red wine glass will be used for serving a red wines, and the capacity for red wine glass is 8 to 10 ounces. Next category is water goblet. Water goblet will be used for serving of water in a restaurant, and the capacity for water goblet is 8 to 10 ounces. Next is margarita glass. Margarita glass will be used for serving a special cocktail called margarita, and the capacity for this glass is 5 to 6 ounces. Next is cocktail glass, which is also known as a martini glass. Name itself shows that we utilize these type of glassware to serve different types of cocktail, and the capacity for this glass is 4 to 6 ounces. In the next category of glasswares, we have the decanter. Decanter means while we are going to serve chasers. Chasers means, for example, we are going to serve whiskeys along with water and soda. So water and soda will be carried in decanters. It comes in the capacity of 500 to 750 ml. Next glass is sherry glass. Sherry glass is very small glass which is being used for serving of sherry. Sherry is a wine which comes from the country Spain. It's a very famous wine of Spain. Next, and the capacity for sherry glass is 3 ounces. Next is the Pilsner glass. Pilsner glass is being used for bottled beer, and the capacity for Pilsner glass is 10 to 12 ounces. Next glass is highball glass, which is very frequently used. We use this glass for multi-purpose, as somehow we use for water, sometimes we use for juice service also, for soft drink service also. But the specification for this glass is we use this glass for only a white spirits. White spirits consist of your gin, tequila, white rum, vodka, etc. So for the service of white spirits only, we are going to serve in highball glass. The capacity of highball glass is 8 to 10 ounces. Next is the old-fashioned glass. Old-fashioned glass will be used for serving of whiskies, and we also called it rock glass as well as the whiskey glass. Specifically, we serve whiskey in this glass. Capacity is 8 to 10 ounces. And on the rocks drinks, will be served in old-fashioned glass. For example, we are going to serve rum on the rocks. So in that case, we are going to serve that rum in a old-fashioned glass. Either it should go in a highball glass. So on the rocks, drinks will be served in old-fashioned glass. Next is champagne saucer. Champagne saucer is also being used for service of champagne, but for those champagne which has a less fizz will be served in a champagne saucer. The capacity is 6 to 8 ounce. In next types of glassware, we have Tom Collin. Tom Collin, it's a larger glass which has the capacity of 12 to 14 ounce, and we use these type of glassware for long drinks. Next is a juice glass, which is also known as a pony tumbler, which has the capacity of 3 ounce. Normally we serve a juice in this type of glasswares. This type of glassware is utilized in the banquets mostly. Next is a shot glass. Shot glass is very small, tiny glass, which has the capacity of 2 ounce maximum. And we use these type of glasswares for the tequila shots, vodka shots. We use this type of glassware for a alcoholic shots. Next is brandy balloon, which is also called as snifter glass. Snifter, why we called it? Because of that, snifter means just to take aroma. So while we drink that brandy in this glass, so our half of the nose goes inside the glass. So that means you took all the aroma inside your nose. So that's why we called it snifter glass, and name itself brandy balloon shows that we serve brandy in this glass. Capacity for this glass is 8 to 10 ounce. Next is a beer goblet. Beer goblet, what obviously name itself shows that we serve beer in this. Mainly the pint beer will be served in this glass. The capacity for this glass is 10 ounce. We start with the next category of equipments, that is called hollowware. In hollowware, we'll start with coffee pot. Coffee pot comes in a different portion size. As such, there will be a 1 portion, 2 portion, 3 or 4 portion. That means portion means that how many number of cups will be served from that pot. For example, 1 portion, that means that particular pot is going to serve only 1 cup. If it comes in a 2 portion, so that means it is going to be served in a 2 guests. 2 cups will be accommodated in that particular pot. So all the teapot and coffee pot used to come in a portions. 1 portion, 2 portion and 4 portion. 4 portion is the maximum capacity of the coffee pot and teapot. Next is the water jug. Water jug will be used for serving a water to the guest in a restaurant, while the guest will not prefer that mineral water bottles or any other water bottles. So in that case, guest will be taking our regular water from the tap or the RO filtered water. So that water will be served from the jug. So for that reason, we utilize water jugs. Next is sugar caddy. Sugar caddy is a small pot which goes along with the tea or coffee service. We carry a sugar, either a sugar cubes or a sugar sachet in this sugar caddy. Next is the milk creamer, which is also known as a milk pot. So the small pot looks like a jug, and we carry a hot milk in this just to prepare a tea or coffee in the front of the guest for a separate tea or a separate coffee. Next is the sauce boat. Sauce boat will be used for serving a sauce. While we give sauce with the various items, accompaniments with the various items, so then all the sauce will be carried in this equipment, sauce boat. Next, in the category of hollowware, the next is butter dish. Butter dish will be utilized for service of butter, for butter cubes or butter. It is mostly used in a breakfast. Next is condiment tray. Condiment tray will be utilized for serving various condiments to the guest. Where 3-4 condiments has one dish, so then it can be served in one tray, that is called condiment tray. Next is preserve pot. Preserve pot means the small preservatives goes along with the breads in the breakfast, so that preservatives can be given in this pot. So that is known as a preservative pot. Next is toast rack. Toast rack is where we put the toasted breads in that rack, and we serve that rack to the guest, and guest used to take that toast from the toast rack. Next is entree dish. Entree dish is an equipment which will be used for serving of food to the guest. We carry a food item in an entree, and we used to do the service of food to the guest in a silver service. through entree dishes. It comes in a various portion as such, in one portion or two portion. Two portion is the maximum. That means one portion means, for example, you want to order a dal makhni. So if you have ordered one dal makhni, you will get a one portion entree dish. If you have ordered two dal makhni, they are not going to bring two entree dishes. They are going to bring one entree dish which will have that two portion. So that is how your entree dishes comes in a different portions. Next is platter. Platter means it can be used for various service, as like if you want to serve starters, if you want to serve sandwiches, burgers. So there's a different size platters, and which can be utilized for different types of food service. And another one is toothpick holder. Toothpick holder, while anything stuck in the guest teeth, so then we used to provide a toothpick to the guest. So then we used to carry a toothpicks in a toothpick holder. Next is a straw holder. Straw holder will be used for just to carry a straw on the table for serving a soft drink or any mocktail, cocktail. So then might be the need of straw. So in that case, while you are carrying a straw to the table, so it should be carried in a straw holder. Next is ice bucket. There could be a need to serve ice cubes to the guest while you are serving alcoholic, non-alcoholic drinks to the guest. So while you are serving ice cube to the guest, you must carry ice cube in a ice bucket, and it should be carried with the ice tongue as well. Next is finger bowl. Finger bowl must be provided while you are having your Indian meal. Indian meal which consists of chapati and dal. Because of that, in that case, you are going to use your hands. While you are using your hand, there must be something to wash their hands. So in that case, we provide a small finger bowl which consists of warm water, and we put lemon slice in that, and we provide an underliner along with this, and we present that finger bowl from the right hand side to the guest, and guests used to wash their hands and rub their hands with the lemon just to avoid the smell of the spices or turmeric. So, and even turmeric will be removed from the fingers, and your fingers will be shining, as well as there will not be any smell. So let's summarize this session. So we have discussed about the types of cutlery, the various flatwares, fork and spoons. In crockery, we have discussed about the various types of plates, bowls, etc. In glasswares, we have discussed the type of glasswares. We have discussed the capacity and uses of the glasswares. At last, we have discussed about hollowares. How many types of hollowares are there? What is their name? What is their use? So all these things. In the coming session, we'll be discussing about remaining equipment as like furniture, linen and other equipments. So till then, have a great day. Thank you.